Hi friends, I'm Anna, and this is New Age Psychology. Today I'm going to talk about gay versus transgender. What is the difference? About a week ago, I was at my acting school, my acting classes, and I told a story about some transgender friends of mine and myself. And the director, bless his heart, asked me, what's the difference between cross-dressers and gay men? It was a reasonable question, humbly posed. But it's a little like asking a black person to explain race. It's even better to know in advance, before encountering the person who's different, the marginalized person. It's better to know in advance so that they aren't made responsible to educate. And if in the attempt to explain the matter, a misunderstanding, something goes wrong, communication difficulties arise, as it can in a delicate subject like race or gender or sexual orientation, things can get pretty awkward. So it's better to just find out before the conversation, before the encounter. Now, to answer my director's question, I'm going to use myself as an example because I've been in both worlds. First of all, what is a man? I called myself a man before I identified as a transgender woman, long before, and for much longer, for decades. I had a stereotypically masculine name, which I'm not going to speak. That would be called a dead name. But I had a masculine name. I wore Levi's and a shirt with a collar. My hair was not long. Under those Levi's, I had what is euphemistically called junk. And of course, when I was born, the doctor looked at that junk and said, it's a boy. And my driver's license said male at that time. Now, there's more to being a man than appearance. The other characteristics are more subtle, invariably matters of opinion. Everyone agrees that there is a difference between male and female, although there's definitely not a consensus as to exactly what that difference is. Many people see differences in communication style. For example, how, when, and even whether feelings are shared, whether tears are shed in moments of high emotion. So that's a bit about what it means to be a man, to be male, or what people see the meaning to be. Now, I've always liked men. I like dancing with men. I like making out with men. Well, not every man, but some. So I was gay. That's what I called myself. I had no feminine traits, no womanly traits or characteristics. And most of my companions in the gay bars didn't have feminine traits either. Gay doesn't really mean feminine, except perhaps on stage. There's something called a drag show. Or in a playful moment, or as a term of endearment. I've heard my friends call one another girl or Mary, but really there are generally no feminine traits, or no more than in the general population, perhaps. Anyway, eventually I changed gender. I became a transgender woman, or began identifying as a transgender woman. Well, my attractions didn't change. So I'm not going to surrender my gay card. Now, there are people who like to make rules, self-appointed gatekeepers, who would say because I'm now arguably a woman, and like men, I have to call myself straight. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. So what changed? What changed was my social presentation, the way I dressed, the name I chose. Also, I became welcome in what are called women's spaces, such as women-only recovery meetings or support groups. Now, when I'm addressed as sir, because of my deep voice, or referred to as he by strangers, I don't see it as an insult, unless it's like willful and repeated and no effort is made to do better. Then it does look like an insult. However, even then, it doesn't affect me. An insult is like an alcoholic drink or a joint. It only affects the person if they accept it, and I don't. So I realize I've ventured into a sensitive area, and I don't mean to offend anybody. I just want to speak my truth about transphobia and homophobia. What are they? Well, I don't really need to explain because people are going to demonstrate it right here in the comments under this video. They will demonstrate it, and it won't be hard to spot. Actually, those negative comments will help me because social media amplifies negativity and conflict. It rewards it with greater visibility. For example, an argument might start. Somebody might defend me and somebody else will counterattack, and there'll be a long chain of comments, and that'll just increase the number of times the YouTube algorithm offers my video to people. So, you can try to insult me, but it'll actually just help me. One of the most obnoxious microaggressions is not about misgendering. It's pressuring or assuming or expecting people to choose who they love according to rules based on their gender and sexuality categories. This is fairly common, actually. I've even encountered it with professional therapists. Now, some of you may be thinking, I don't really understand what Anna just said. Actually, it's not necessary to understand gender or sexual orientation. It's just necessary to kind of respect people's choices, preferences, and maybe their privacy, not to, probe too deeply for an explanation. So that, my friends, is my introduction to gender and sexual orientation, at least gay male sexual orientation. There are also lesbians, there are transgender women, and many, many nuanced identities that simply defy categorization. Many people object to being forced into any category at all, precisely because it does lead to these rule-based expectations that I just mentioned. Perhaps that's a topic for another video. Thank you.